Welcome to the Christian Pregnancy Podcast. If you are ready to overcome stress and fear in pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum by applying God's Word in your life, you are in the right place. I believe that children are a gift from God and the journey into motherhood is meant to be blessed. However, we find ourselves full of stress and fear. As mummies-to-be or new moms, you are a daughter of God, and Jesus has come that we may have abundant life. And this abundant life includes joy and peace through your motherhood journey. I believe as moms, we have the authority to claim this promise from God. I'm Gladys, a mom of two who has been through the struggles of being pregnant, staying pregnant, followed by a challenging childbirth and postpartum. But God was and is my strength, and I am called to help you claim a pregnancy of purpose, a childbirth full of joy, and a motherhood of meaning. Put up your feet, grab your pickles or ice cream. It's time to dig into this journey with Jesus at the wheel. Hi, daughter of God. Welcome to the Christian Pregnancy Podcast. I have an announcement to make, and that is the winners of the Christian Pregnancy Course Beta offer have been selected. So if you have submitted your application over the past 2 weeks, do check your email to see if you are one of the selected ones. For today's podcast, I have a special guest, Stephanie, and she will be sharing with us how to include men into the birth space. She will be sharing some steps to help men actively participate in labor and to support the birthing mama. So this is the episode to ask your husband to listen to, because Stephanie will be sharing many tips on how he can participate in the birth, especially when you are in active labor. So I will hand over the time to Stephanie for her to share more about this topic.
Hi, yes, so my name's Stephanie, and I love to help women prepare for a quicker, easier birth so that they can experience the birth that they were designed for. So I'd love today, to share about how to incorporate your husband into your birth experience and give you a practical sequence that can really make this tangible for you, so that he feels like he knows what he can do in labor to assist you. So I think it's so important that you and your husband both feel like a team when you go into labor, that you both feel like you have parts to play and that you have a clear vision about how you would like it to go. And so I specifically today wanted to focus on the men, because they often get left out of the conversation about birth. And I just think that it's a big missed opportunity, because men have such, they have 50% of the internal resources in the marriage. And if they're not bringing that to the birth, I just think that their unique skills are being, there's some oversight there. So today we're going to talk about active labor and what men can actually do in active labor to help. And so just a quick overview of the stages of childbirth. So there's early labor, active labor, the moment when you give birth, and then the time after birth. And today we're going to focus on active labor. The way you can know if you're in active labor is because it will require your full attention. So early labor, you can be doing some other things, but you'll know you're in active labor when you can't do anything except focus on the moment and on your breath and on being in labor. So this often looks like, the woman no longer being chatty. She seeks to be cocooned, either with her partner or perhaps even alone. The contractions or surges will become more frequent. They'll also become longer, and they'll become more intense, which will require the full focus. Usually women will spend a lot of time with their eyes closed, and usually they'll enjoy rocking side to side. as well as a leaning forward motion. And because this stage of labor is intense, it does require a lot of internal resources from the woman. And as things get closer and closer towards birth, there comes a point where the woman may begin to doubt herself. She may doubt her abilities, and this is often called transition. She'll often come to a crisis of confidence. Now, this is where I specifically want to focus for today. So men have a really unique opportunity at this point in labor. There are lots of tools and techniques you can use, such as, light touch, light stroking, just a gentle presence, a hand on the back, different things like that, or more active things, like using a scarf around the woman's abdomen and doing a rebozo, which is basically a gentle scarf that goes around the abdomen, and just a gentle kind of motion that relieves some of the pressure. So those are all some things you can do in early labor. But right now, I really want to focus on that time where the woman is having that crisis of confidence, or she may have that crisis of confidence. And what I want to call this sequence is, it's a take charge sequence. And basically, this sequence is going to help you feel like you have clear direction when your wife is in this place of doubting herself, doubting her abilities, feeling extremely tired, not sure if she can or wants to go on, etc. So let's jump in. So the first 3 things to remember are just some simple reminders about what to do. So don't interrupt. So if you can, try and avoid interrupting your wife's spontaneous rhythm of labor. So she will create a spontaneous rhythm where she'll have a certain style of breathing, a certain way of soothing herself, of being in the moment and trying to cope and just manage with the changes in her body. And try and reduce any interruptions to your wife's spontaneous rhythm. So interruptions would be changes to the environment or to the 5 senses. So for example, avoid changing, turning lights on, avoid coffee breath, avoid asking questions, or expecting answers. She may just need to reply with one word. Avoid directions, and if you can, also avoid requests as much as possible. So yeah, just a general, don't interrupt the flow. That's the first thing to remember. The second thing to remember is participation. So if you can, gently enter into your partner's spontaneous rhythm. So for example, this might be holding her, swaying with her, gently stroking her back, looking at her in the eyes, even if she has her eyes closed or if they're open, looking at her while she's in a contraction and also between contractions. And use your body language, like acknowledging with your head, so nodding, just acknowledging her and that what she's going through, just acknowledging. And that's all part of ways that you can participate in the moment with her, as opposed to just observing and onlooking. You're actually entering into your partner's rhythm. So that's the second thing to remember. The third thing is uplift, and this is where the take charge sequence comes in. So as I said, there may be moments when your partner starts to struggle and struggles to keep her rhythm. So the rhythm is her ability to keep in step with the contractions that she's feeling in her body and to stay in step with the changes and the increasing intensity. she may need others around her to encourage her and build her up in this time when she starts to have thoughts come in, saying, this is taking forever, you're not getting anywhere, this is not working, you're doing it wrong. Any of these intrusive thoughts that can come, or it can be a feeling-based thing like, so tired, I don't know if I can do this, I'm exhausted, blah, blah, blah. So part of you helping to uplift her is helping her to regain her spontaneous rhythm. And this means you may need to take charge. So only use this, just a quick disclaimer, only use this in labor if your partner has hit an emotional low. And you'll be able to recognize this because she'll seem very tense. She can't seem to relax, feels like she can't keep going. Perhaps she cries out or is in despair or feels defeated. Her vocal noises and her breathing may become more sharp and seem frustrated. And essentially, she'll just seem like she isn't coping as well anymore. That is the time when it is very important for you to step into that leadership role that men are naturally graced in, I believe. God graces men and women to be leaders, but it does look different. And I think men are very beautifully positioned to actually lean into these moments and assist and uplift their wives. So I'm going to talk you through now what the take charge sequence looks like. So again, with this sequence, there actually are 3 steps that I want you to keep in mind. So if she reaches that mental wall or that breaking point, you can follow these 3 steps. So the first step is to remain calm. And so your atmosphere of peace and calm is incredibly important for helping her to restabilize. So she is already feeling overwhelmed, overwhelmed and unstable, feeling like she might not be able to go on, feeling that instability of all of the feelings and thoughts. So on a heart level, it's very important for you to actually center yourself, regain your sense of everything's going to be okay. So often in a partnership, in a husband-wife relationship, in a marriage, you can kind of set each other off. So one person feels anxious, then the other person feels anxious, and it becomes like a cycle. But what we're trying to say right now is it's very important for you to try your best to break that cycle. You can do that through, breathing, feeling into your feet, feel where your feet are planted, feel into your shoes, and feel them grounded on the earth. You can also use, prayer and connecting to God and asking for His help, or anything else that helps you to just become an atmosphere of peace and calm, and to not overreact. So to keep that perspective, you will actually be able to affect change in her from this place. So your voice, when you're gonna be speaking to her in the next few steps, but it's important to remember that your voice should be calm and encouraging, so as gentle and calm a tone as possible. So the first step, remain calm. The second step in the take charge sequence is to be an anchor. So I want you to stay as close as possible by her side physically, with your face near her face. So paired with the calming words and the atmosphere of peace, your face next to her face is going to start to become extremely grounding for her, and she's going to feel extremely supported and anchored. So hold her firmly and confidently in your arms. So don't use tentative touch. At this point, it's very good to have a gentle but firm grasp and make some sort of confident physical contact. So depending on her position, obviously you'll work with whatever position she's in, but it's very important for you to become close to her face, use firm hands and make that physical contact, and also make eye contact with her. So between contractions, really try and hold her gaze, and with that gentle, soft face and that gentle tone, just to make that eye contact with her, to show her, without words, you're communicating. I'm here with you. I've got you. We've got this. It's going to be okay. God's here with us. Everything's going to be okay. So that's the second point of the take charge sequence. It's to be an anchor. The third part of the sequence is words of affirmation. So this is a bit like becoming a coach. And I don't normally recommend this type of approach for the pushing stage, for example, because I believe that babies usually in an undisturbed birth, babies can actually bring themselves through the birth canal. That's what they're designed to do, and the body assists in that. And so there's very little need for coaching. I'm not a big fan of coach pushing or anything like that, but this is the one time that I believe coaching is very practical and useful, and it's and beneficial. So essentially you're going to coach her through a contraction, because when she was coping well, she would spontaneously be able to respond to the contraction and move through it. But now she's having challenges with that. So it's about using the truth and your presence to help carry her burdens and carry her through this moment. So calmly and kindly tell her to breathe with you. So like, breathe with me. That's the way. You're doing it. Good. Stay with me. Yep. Look at me. Stay with me. Good. It's going away. Good. Okay. Yep. Now rest. Just rest. And that's an example of how you might be able to talk her through the contraction. And you can talk to her in between contractions too, to keep her focused and keep her energy buoyant, so that she can willingly anticipate the next moment, knowing that you'll be there to help support her through it. Okay, so remaining a calm and dependable presence is the most important thing. So in between contractions, like, you've got this, your baby's almost here, she's so close, you've got this, your baby's coming, that kind of thing can really help her keep perspective, because even though it's obvious, to everyone in the room, and even to her, she's in the middle of labor, but it's actually easy to forget the goal when you're in the midst of everything. It's easy to forget that my baby's almost here. So that is the take charge sequence. Remain calm, be an anchor, use words of affirmation. And that take charge sequence fits within the 3 simple reminders for men. So don't interrupt the flow, participate and enter into your partner's rhythm, and uplift her through using the take charge sequence. So I really am just really happy and honored to be on the Christian Pregnancy podcast, and just the work that you're doing, Gladys. And I'm very grateful to be here. So thank you so much for letting me just tell you about how men can participate more fully in labor and in the birth experience. So thanks so much for having me as a guest. It's been a real honor, and if you feel like getting in touch with me, you're more than welcome. My website is original-design.net. So Original Design is my brand. I also have a podcast where I interview women about their birth stories. So that's just the Original Design podcast. Different stories. Lots of women who have had natural births and home births. Women who have participated with God to have a really beautiful experience. So I love sharing uplifting stories on that podcast. So thank you so much. It's been wonderful to be here and speak to you. If you do go to my site, original-design.net, I have lots of articles on there about preparing for birth. So, how to prevent tearing naturally, how to combat pain in labor, and how to overcome that. So I really hope that that's a resource for you. Be blessed, and very lovely to speak with you today. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Stephanie, for the wonderful sharing. I wish my husband had all these wonderful advice and tips to follow while I was in labor with my 2 children. Thank you, Stephanie, for all that you do, and I am so grateful for you coming on here to share all this with us. For all the pregnant mamas who want to get in touch with Stephanie, I have her website and details listed in the show notes section of the podcast. In the meantime, I pray God's blessing over you and your pregnancy and your baby. And I'll see you in the next episode. God bless you. Bye. If this podcast has blessed you, helped you, or challenged you, please share it with another mom-to-be or mom and leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. This helps inspire a generation of kingdom mothers and future world changers. Also, come join the Christian Pregnancy Facebook group at bit.ly/Christian Pregnancy Group. That is bit.ly/Christian Pregnancy Group. See you in the next episode. May God bless your pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum journey with His joy and peace always.